So DDG has been having a sort of interesting 2025 to say the least. While some of the things he's experienced have been great for him, like hitting 70,000 subscribers on Twitch, which is a lot of money, to making a fire song like Pink Dreads. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that Pink Dreads song is tough. Keep making music like that and I'm gonna be able to name 5 DDG songs. To even funny beefs with people like Myron Gaines and Low Tier God. However, DDG has been experiencing some difficulties when it comes to his family life, saying he has been struggling to see his son these past few months, and now things have gotten even worse with his baby mama Halle Bailey now getting a restraining order against DDG, alleging that he violently attacked her, and now she is in fear of her safety and her son's safety, claiming after an attempt to converse with DDG about their child visitation schedule, DDG grew agitated with her as she was buckling their son Halo into his car seat, repeatedly saying, "Get out my car, bitch." Halle says the baby was crying and she got nervous about leaving Halo with DDG while DDG was still in such an agitated state. That's when they allegedly started wrestling, with DDG pulling her hair, slamming her face on the steering wheel, and chipping her too. Halle says she was in pain and crying, and although that stopped the fighting, she was still worried about Halo, so she remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, where she told his family what happened. Once they told her they'd take care of the baby, she left hysterical with bruises on her arms to go along with her chip too. She attached photos of her alleged injuries in her request for a restraining order, and then she shows pictures of bruises on her arm and her tooth being chipped, saying that this came as a result of this event. But it goes further when she says DDG creeped her out in March when he showed up at her home, entered without permission, went to her bedroom, texted a pic of Halle's empty bed to her along with the text, "Now I know what you've been on, low." Halle says she interpreted the text as DDG accusing her of having sex with other people. 4 days later, she claimed he really exploded when he came back to her house. Halle told him she and the baby were sick and she didn't want Halo to leave home. And she claims that's when he got verbally abusive, smashed her Ring camera, and ran away with Halle's phone. As he drove off, she claims DDG threw the phone out of his window and yelled, "Go get it, bitch!" The incident prompted Halle to go file a police report. And she says she also has Ring footage to back up her side of the story. It was also around this time DDG claimed on X he had been fighting to see Halo for months. For Halle though, the final straw came just last weekend when she said she was vacationing with Halo and her sister in St. Lucia. She says DDG texted her links to social media posts claiming she was on the island with singer Brent Faiyaz. And then you can see some of the messages from DDG. Pretty much confirms the Halle Bailey Brent Faiyaz rumors, keeping Halo from DDG while Brent playing stepdad in St. Lucia is nasty work. This foul bet. And then here's another post. DDG can't see his son because Halle took Halo to go with Brent Faiyaz in St. Lucia. Treacherous. You think you hurting my feelings when you really just ruining your own image. This is a terrible look. Makes you look disgusting and evil. Enjoy your vacation. Happy Mother's Day. But just have the same energy when it's my turn to have them. I'm on the same shit. Halle replied, "Not with any man out here. I wouldn't do that. I have Halo. Please let me enjoy my Mother's Day in peace. I hope you are okay and feel better soon." The judge granted Halle a domestic violence restraining order requiring DDG to stay 100 yards away. So this is the full story, at least so far as I'm recording this, and I don't really know what to think about this so far or how I should really feel about this. I'ma just say this, I'm not some sort of DDG super fan. I don't really watch his content too often, and I'm not some Halle Bailey super simp who thinks she's so innocent and can do nothing wrong to anybody. She wouldn't hurt a fly. Fuck that shit. I don't know this bitch. I'm coming into this completely unbiased. But I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of mess with DDG a bit. From everything I've seen, he just seemed like a cool dude to me. No glaze though. You know what I'm saying? Chill out. But at this current point, I'm not gonna believe the allegations. Now, this is not me saying DDG is innocent. I don't know this dude. You know, I know DDG for what I've seen online. His real name is Daryl. I don't know who Daryl is, right? DDG could be a cool dude, never put his hands on a woman. But Daryl, I don't know about him. I have no idea of what he's capable of doing to a woman when in private and he's frustrated. So again, I'm not saying he's innocent, but what I am saying is I'm gonna need a little bit more proof than just a little tiny bruise on her arm and a barely chipped tooth. I mean, to me, those bruises can be from anything. I mean, do y'all know how easily women bruise? Like, she could have got that bruise from anything. Women are fragile as shit. And then with the chipped tooth, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it did come from this. A lot of people are saying her tooth was already like that before. I don't know, again, I'm not saying nothing there, but I'm gonna need a little something more than just this. But I also think this is all just a part of Halle Bailey trying to paint some sort of narrative about DDG based on the things he's been doing the past few months in regards to not being able to see his son. Back in March, DDG came on stream and he was saying how he couldn't see his son and how he was so frustrated and that he wasn't really being treated like a parent, like the father of the child, you know, and that things were unfair, and he basically gets no rights when it comes to seeing his own kid. But Halle can do whatever she wants with Halo, and he just kind of has to accept it as her decision. And when he said that, there were a lot of people defending her, of course, but a lot of people, you know, they started looking at her a bit sideways based on some of the stuff he was saying. I mean, you all know Halle Bailey has this super nice, super innocent little girl next door image. She out here playing Disney princesses. You know, she has this little cute voice and all this stuff, right? And for someone like her who is a Hollywood celebrity, her image matters a lot. So she can't be the innocent girl on the outside, but she really the bitter baby mama who won't let the father of her kid see the kid. And especially because a lot of people see DDG as below Halle Bailey because of the fact that he's a streamer and a rapper. He's not a Hollywood celeb in Disney movies like her. This whole narrative DDG putting out there ruins her image, which is, I think, why she going with the woman beating allegation. Especially so all of a sudden, right? Even the language that she's using, you know, she's trying to make it seem like not only is he abusive, but he's creepy and he's still thirsty over her. They broke up so long ago, but he just doesn't want to let it go and he still wants her, blah, 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 right? Saying, you know, he came in the house, he got into the house somehow and he tested a picture of her empty bed saying, well, now I know what you want. You know, trying to make him look like this creepy abusive man, and that's the reason why they're having these problems. They broke up and she won't let him see the kid, right? I don't really believe this to be the case. Like I said, I don't know DDG. I don't really be watching him like that, but from the things I have seen, he don't really seem like the type to me to be still thirsting over an ex, you know, showing up to her house, getting inside somehow mysteriously, texting pictures of an empty bed, whatever. That don't really seem like something he'd do to me. But again, I don't know what to do. I'll show you what I mean by how they're trying to paint a narrative about him based on a lot of these things with this example from these messages, right? So here are the messages prior to the I know what you've been on now message, right? Me and Halo is at the front door. Can you answer? If you're not home, just say that. And then there's a picture of the empty bed. Now I know what you've been on, LOL. Can you pick Halo up from George? I have to work. So, you know, with added context, these messages seem completely different, right? When you just see the picture of the empty bed and now I know what you've been on, LOL. You know, it looked like, damn, he just showed up to her house out of nowhere on some creepy shit, acting weird, right? She even said he was trying to insinuate that she's been having sex with other people, which I don't know how he would know that from an empty bed, but you know, whatever. But like, the reason he did that is because he was there to drop the kid off and she wasn't home, and she clearly didn't let him know, right? I mean, he's saying, you know, if you're not home, just tell me. And then when he got up to her room, she not there. She clearly didn't tell him, or he wouldn't even texted that to begin with. So now it's like, yeah, now I know what you want. You know I was coming over here to drop our son off, and you just not here, you're not saying shit, you're not communicating. That's a completely different look than him just randomly showing up to her house when she not there, somehow getting in, and, you know, taking a picture of her empty bed. And like, that's what I mean. To me, that's a bit weird, and it makes me question how credible she is if she leaving out small little things like that. Even something as small as that, to me, is a bit suspicious, because again, with those added context, with just those 3 messages, the conversation looks completely different. He goes from looking like some weirdo who just got in her house sometime, being weird or whatever, to like, yeah, I'm outside, I got our son, you know, come take him. Oh, you not here? Why didn't you tell me? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying it makes me not really believe her, because why would you leave that out? That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, maybe it's not important, but I mean, again, the conversation looks completely different when you see that. Also, just want to throw this out there again. Halle is signed to Beyonce's label. So, you know, she got them Rock Nation, Jay-Z connections because she signed under Beyonce. Again, not making any definitive statements, just kind of throwing things out there. But again, I'm not making a definitive statement about what's going on. I'm not saying she's DDG's lying definitively. I'm not straight up saying DDG is innocent. I'm still don't really know what to exactly think about this situation, but I'm leaning more on DDG's side here. I'm leaning more on the DDG is innocent side because, again, even just with those messages in particular, you leave out that context, and why would you do that? That doesn't really make sense to me, right? And again, he could have done it. He could be this horrible person, but women do lie. So unless I see further proof that's like, okay, without a shadow of a doubt, he was on this, I can't just say that he did that, even with the bruise or the chipped tooth or whatever. Because again, I don't know how she got that. She's saying that he did that to her, but how do I know that? How do any of y'all know that? How do we know that that's where he got it? I mean, how do we know that that's where she got that from? And again, women lie. So again, unless I see further proof, I'm not just about to automatically jump on some DDG hate wagon until I can see, yeah, he did that. Because we've had too many examples in the past of women lying and it ruining people. Now, is DDG gonna be ruined? I don't think so. At least not as far as being a content creator. Because he's a content creator, he has his own voice. So, you know, he can still, you know, post content, everything be good. He got a strong enough fan base. He's been doing this for like over a decade now. He good as far as content. Now, as a rapper, I don't know how that might affect his rapping career. At least as far as like, you know, maybe his label, getting deals, whatever, right? But I think he'll be all right in terms of his career. So yeah, he'll be all right in terms of his career, but it's just a really bad look, and we know how those false accusations are. Once they out there, they out there. It's either gonna be people who just believe them or they don't. It don't matter how much evidence to prove either one. I mean, it's people to this day that still think Amber Heard was somehow the victim in that relationship, even after the whole case. Somehow think Johnny Depp evil guy. So, you know, it just is what it is. But like I said, DDG will be all right. You know what I'm saying? He got his own thing going. He a content creator. Somebody like her, again, her image matters because she is in Hollywood. And you get blackballed, you ain't getting opportunities, you ain't making the same amount of money, you ain't famous, you ain't getting no connections, your peers don't talk to you, none of that. So DDG will be okay. But let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, turn on post notifications, share this video. On our road to 2,000 subscribers. Like it so we can get there. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for watching this video. And I'm out though. Catch you guys next time.